All right, guys, it's Sam again, still in the field, literally and figuratively. This is my bike. You've seen it before. I was boasting about it on the internet. Some people didn't like that. They thought I was personally attacking them, which I definitely was. This bike is proper rad, man. I love this. Like, I've done like a bit of a loop around a bunch of different bikes. I've had like gravel bikes and commuter bikes and stuff, and I got an e-bike for a bit, and I ended up just coming back to something that suits my riding perfectly, like trail riding. I live in Howarth, so it's just trails everywhere. It's not like bike park stuff. I don't have that close to me. I don't have the means to be going there all the time. This bike is for me to just do all the ups and downs, drops and jumps in between. It's a beautiful bike. I've made quite a lot of upgrades to it. So we're going to talk through some of those now, and then we're going to do a bit of riding on it, and I'm going to tell you what I love about this bike, man. This Fuel EX Gen 6. This is I think it was a 9.8. Don't know if you can call it that now, because it's basically got like just everything's changed on it. So yeah, let's get into it. So, obviously you can see this bike has pink bits on it. It was one of the focuses of the other video that we've done. It's now got more pink bits than it had before. So let's talk about, obviously, the coolest pink bits on this bike. It's got industry 9 wheels with pink hubs, pink spokes on it, front and rear. It's got the Hydra Frio body, which just sounds insane when it's rolling. I haven't even taken all the grease out of it like some people do to make it as loud as possible. Like, it's loud enough as it is, but it sounds cool. Check it out. What else have I added to it that's pink? I've got myself a little Bergtech. Got myself a little Bergtech seat clamp to match the pedals, which my colleague Neil very kindly swapped for the Trek pedals that I had on, because it just matches the colour scheme of my bike. And the other thing I've got is, and this is just really pathetic, but on the MT5 brakes you can change the little caliper rings, and I've got pink ones of those as well. So yeah, black and pink, man, it's my colour. I think it suits me well. I've always wanted a coil shock, and now I'm like a full-grown man with like bills and a mortgage and stuff. I've got one, and honestly it's amazing. When I was younger, I always thought coils were just for like big hitting downhill riders, and that's just not the case. Like I say, my main riding that I do is just trails on the moors around Howarth and stuff, and it's just constant knocks and bumps and stuff, and this shock is beautiful for it. I maintain traction all the time. Over all the stuff, every little bump, it just soaks everything up, man. It really is, again, for the type of riding I'm doing on it, I love having a coil. There's less maintenance involved. You don't have to do the 50-hour air can services. It's every 200 hours I'm going to need to service this. Obviously this is quite a high-end shock, so it's got high speed and low speed compression. I've got this little lever here which will firm it up for if I'm just doing a long climb on the road. And one other feature that I absolutely love about these modern coil shocks is it's got a hydraulic bottom out that I can tune. So when I have done big hits and I've come up short and I know I'm in for the smash, where you usually get that horrible clanging sound, this thing just, in the last, I think it's like 20 or 25% of travel, it's just got this little hydraulic bottom out, and it just slows you right down before you get that bash, and you barely even feel that you've bottomed out, man. It's really is good, and it just looks super cool, man. So yeah, I'm really stoked with that. Another personal preference for me that I've had on all my recent bikes is Magura MT5s. There are MT7s out there, they are available. My personal opinion is that they're too powerful. Like, I don't have the dexterity to be able to control those brakes well enough. So MT5s are just perfect for me, man. One finger braking, super powerful. I don't struggle with brake fade or anything like that. Like, for the type of riding I do, I'm always getting my back end up in the air, doing rolling stoppies and messing around and stuff like that. These brakes are just beautiful, man. They feel nice and firm. They've got a solid bite point. They bite quite early in the free stroke as well. There's not much free stroke on there. They're honestly perfect for me. And like I said, you can put little pink guys in them and make them match the rest of your bike. when you put them with the Magura rotors, so I've got the Magura Storm HC rotors on, man, they just work beautifully, like stopping power for days. Really, really good brakes, man. I can't say enough good stuff about them. Quick shout out to the old One Up EDC Components tool again, just because it's ace. Look at it, it's just sitting there waiting to be used for any of my trail mishaps. Another thing on my bike that I want to talk about that I've changed, I've got 160mm cranks. Now, when I was looking to put new cranks on this bike, there was a bunch of like parameters that I needed to hit in order to get what I wanted from them. One of them was I wanted them to be shorter than the 165s that you can get any Shimano's in. I wanted 160s, so I found Unite components. Not only do they do the length that I want them in, but they also do them in like super awesome custom paint jobs. So this has got, it's black with like grey and I think they call it prison pink splatters on it, which is ace. My stem matches it, my little bash guard underneath matches it as well. Bit perverse, but you know, I love my bike, man. I want it to be colour coordinated, despite what I've said in previous videos. Something else to note is, if anybody's looking to do something like this, just be careful what you're getting. So I still want to keep my Shimano drivetrain because I think Shimano makes the best drivetrain components. Obviously I've got the XT 1x12 speed, but you can't run a Shimano chain with a Unite components chain ring, or at least you can, but it won't operate as well as it should do because those chain rings are based on SRAM's link and tooth profile from their drivetrain. So if you want to run Shimano on something that has the same chainring attachment as SRAM, so it's got the SRAM 3-bolt direct mount, Hope do a chainring that will cover all those bases. So it's the teeth are designed to run with Shimano, but the attachment is actually based on SRAM's direct mount. So like I said, bit of random tech stuff, but if it's something that you're thinking of doing, make sure you've got all those things lined up, otherwise you are going to be disappointed with how your drivetrain operates. A few more bits about my bike before we wrap it up. Trek, I'm sorry, because this is like the third video I think in which we've slated your tyres, but I mean, step it up, man. I've taken the Trek tyres off it when it came. I've got Vittoria Mazza tyres on here. The graphene, like multiple compounds in the rubber, I don't really understand it all. It's got that winning tread pattern on it that you'll find on like, you know, Minion DHS and DHRs and so on. It's the tread pattern that has proven itself to be the best in bad conditions, in muddy and wet conditions. And like I said before, where I live, it's on the moors, it's peaty, it's boggy. I mean, honestly, you can see it's caked all over my bike, the kind of stuff that I'm riding through. These tyres still grip. They still grip, and they grip even when I've got my Kids Ride Shotgun Pro on here and my 2.5-year-old son sat on there as well. I can take him out and we can get up some pretty gnarly stuff, man. Like, so don't tell his mum, by the way, but we can get up some pretty steep stuff, and these tyres just dig in, and they do, and they keep us safe, and they keep us where we're wanting to head, man. I think these are great tyres. And like, let's be honest, all the upgrades I've done on this bike, it's not just from a performance point of view. A lot of it I've done because I like the way that it looked. So I also did choose these tyres because they've got grey walls on them, and they kind of match the grey on the Deity carbon handlebars that I've got up here, and the grey that I've got on the stem and the crank. So it's all been very well thought out. Maybe a little bit too much, but this is my bike, man. This is why I absolutely love it. These Industry 9 wheels as well, they're insane. They're so stiff, and they're actually a little bit lighter than the carbon wheels that came on this bike originally, believe it not, but these wheels are bomb proof, man. They look absolutely rad. And let's have a listen to that free hub body. That's what 690 points of engagement sounds like. Bonus content, come in here, come and have a look at this, right? So because the pivot on the Fuel EX, that's a drone, because the pivot on the Fuel EX is quite high and it's quite forward on the bike, some of the chain guides don't fit. So I ordered a chain guide from One Up Components to match the cranks and the bash guard that's underneath here, but it doesn't fit. The pivot's in the way. That's not their fault, that's just how it is. You can't make a chain guide to fit every single bike, even though it's got ISCG05 mounts on it. So I thought, what am I going to do? I made my own. I ordered from One Up Components the little chain guide plastic bit which goes over the chain, and then I got raw plug. They do like a little rubber plug, and I think there's one that measures about 10 millimeters in diameter, and the inside of the main pivot bolt here is 10 millimeters. You can put it in there, get an M5 bolt and a few washers, tighten that up, and that rubber bung expands as you tighten it up, and it plugs it in there. And like I say, I've been thrashing this bike for a couple of months now, and that hasn't even moved. It sits there quietly. It's lighter than what it would have been because there's less stuff around it, and it just makes sure that on them big hits my chain isn't ever going to come off. So a little trick for any Fuel EX owners: you can make your own chain guide and stick it there for your main pivot bolt. So to summarize, what do I like about this bike? Pretty much everything, honestly. Like, I just feel settled with this bike. I've got this bike now and feel, I'm not like thinking, oh, what bike am I going to get next? I forgot this. I think like, oh, I'm looking forward to keeping this bike for a while, because it just suits me perfectly, man. Obviously I love the way that it looks, man. I think it looks cool. You might not, that's okay, because it's not a personal attack. You do what you want with your bike colours, man. This is my bike. I love pink and black. I love how it rides when I'm taking my son out. That's a big part of my life now, man. Like, I stick my son on the front, he's got his own little handlebars and his little saddle, and we go exploring the moors around where we live, and we go over, like I say, some gnarly stuff, man. We do little jumps and stuff and wheelies and things, and this bike's perfect for that. It's just, it's capable enough and comfortable enough at what it's designed for that it can also have an extra passenger. I don't know how much he weighs, probably like 10 or 15 kilos or something, but I still am able to drag myself up steep hills and get a bit of exercise in whilst I'm doing that. So I love it for that. I love it for when I get out by myself, even when the conditions are just, honestly, where I like sloppy, oozy mud puddles that are like this deep, man, I can just splash through them and keep on riding. I can chuck it around and jib on the street outside my house when I've got a couple of minutes doing, you know, rolling stoppies and wheelies and things, and just behaving like I'm 15 again. I love it that I can take it to places where there's purpose-built jumps and things, bike parks and that, and I can still send it over those things and rail around the berms and do big drops, and this bike will just eat it all up, man. Like I say, it's not like a hardcore enduro bike, it's not a cross-country bike, it's something in between both of those things. And when I was younger, I wouldn't have wanted anything that could even do cross-country. I wasn't interested in going uphill, but I am getting older and I do want to maintain a level of fitness, so I wanted my bike to be able to do everything, and this bike is a beautiful all-rounder. One thing I would change about it, and this is just wishful thinking, man, because obviously it's been made as light as it can be. Nobody's designing components and bikes to be heavy. I would like it to be a little bit lighter if it could. I think it probably weighs about 15 kilos. If it could be a bit lighter, that'd be sweet, because it'd be easier to chuck around and it'd be a little bit less weight to carry up the hills. But you know, watch this space, man. Things are always getting lighter as time goes by, aren't they? So yeah, man, really happy with this bike. Recommend it for anybody who identifies with the type of riding that I like to do. Thanks for watching.